A leader, a visionary, and the undisputed legal quarterback of the largest Canadian takeover in history, David McAusland stands as a stellar inspiration to us all. Called to the Quebec bar in 1978, David rose to partner at Byers Casgrain by 1986 and served as managing partner from 1988 through 1998. During this time, he earned a reputation as a respected mentor and rainmaker, leading many significant transactions, particularly in the areas of private equity and hedge funds.
I've known David for, I'd say, more than 30 years. And David was actually the person that recruited me at what was then Byers Casgrain in Montreal. He was a very determined person. I'd spent almost 20 years at my former firm, and he was very convincing and finally convinced me to move and join his outfit. David is probably the person that has more vision and more focus that I've ever seen in my life, and certainly determination I've talked about. He's somebody, and probably the person that I've seen, encountered, met, that enjoys his practice of law, enjoys working more than anybody that I've ever met before. Il raffole de ce qu'il fait. Il aime ça à un point que j'ai rarement vu ailleurs chez d'autres avocats. Et c'est ce qui en fait le succès, c'est ce qu'il fait, c'est ce qui fait qu'il a connu le succès qu'on lui reconnaît ce soir. He once told me that he didn't think he was smarter than anybody else, but he simply tried harder. And I disagree to the extent that he said that he wasn't smarter than anybody else, but I think because I think actually he's smarter than most people, and he does try harder.
It was in May of 1999 when David made the move to Alcan as their vice president and chief legal officer that his challenges really began. 3 days after walking into his new position, he was thrust into the biggest deal of his life, the first ever multi-jurisdictional international merger, a precedent-setting transaction combining the business operations of Canada's Alcan, France's Péchenet SA, and Switzerland's à la Suisse Lonza Group. David once said, if you were to divide deals of this kind into components, they would break down into the why, the how much, and the how-to. My portfolio was the how-to, finding the best way to get the job done.
I was a director of Alcan for almost 10 years, and in that capacity, I had the opportunity, I should say the pleasure, of working very closely with David. David was the lead executive officer in several very important transactions, such as the acquisition of Péchenet, fighting the hostile takeover by Alcoa, and of course the negotiations of the transaction with Rio Tinto. David knows how to deal with a board, very straightforward, brings the facts, and knows how to draw a significant contribution from every director who has something to contribute. David, from time to time, I was pushing you pretty hard during these discussions, and you were pushing me back also very, very hard. From time to time, at the end of a long meeting, I would drop by your office and I would say, you know, did I go too far? And you said, no, I mean, I like to be challenged and so on. So your contribution was spectacular. As a senior executive at Alcan, you were in the center of the action. And David, this recognition is very well deserved. So congratulations to you and good luck in the next phase of your career.
David and I worked on various deals together in the 90s in Montreal. David was a well-known corporate securities lawyer in town. He was also managing partner of his firm Byers Casgrain, and yet he had time to be a great rainmaker also. To my chagrin, often when I would see him in restaurants, he was having lunch with one of our clients. So when he called me in 1999, he said, "Great news, Norm, I'm joining Alcan as general counsel." I said, "I'm delighted, David, that's fantastic news." He hit the ground running when he joined Alcan. Alcan was already in the midst of planning a very complex three-way merger with à la Suisse and Péchenet. Now that merger was so complicated that it ended up Péchenet was not part of the merger. But 2 years later, David came back, did a hostile takeover bid against Pecheney, and now Pecheney was part of the greater Alcan. Following that, he had to deal with some regulatory issues that were fallouts from the Pecheney acquisition, and the plan he devised was essentially the spin-out of the rolling division of Alcan, which was a quarter of the company's business. And he succeeded in doing that, created another company called Novelis, and at the same time dealt with the regulatory issues. Now, all the while, David was always very prepared for a defense of Alcan in case of any hostile takeover bids. And when Alcoa came with its hostile takeover bid a year ago, David and his team were well ready, well prepared, and moved into action quickly. David and his team looked at all the strategic alternatives for Alcan in conjunction, of course, with Paul Tellier's committee at the board. And as a result of this, and as a result of the preparation, they were able to get a 66% premium from Rio Tinto over the unaffected price of Alcan. It was a great achievement. And David retired from Alcan in the fall of last year, moved on to other things, including joining other corporate boards, and as well becoming the head of the RCMP Council that's looking into issues of governance of the RCMP.
Honoring a lifetime of legal achievement and dedication to the goal of making improvements in every endeavor. The prestigious 2008 Canadian General Counsel Lifetime Achievement Award goes to David McAusland.